Look, PC building right now is really expensive, so you may have an old mini PC, an old laptop, an old handheld just lying around your house, just begging to be used, but you just don't have enough GPU horsepower. And today we're looking at a product that may just fill that void.
It is the Razer Core X V2, an eGPU dock, and Razer sponsored this video to showcase the concept of an eGPU, the idea of taking a graphics card and plugging it up to a device that has a USB 4, Thunderbolt 4, or Thunderbolt 5 port to add GPU horsepower to a device that normally wouldn't get it. Whether that's an older laptop, mini PC, or any system that has a lesser GPU compared to today's standards, you can slap it in a new or even older used GPU you may have lying around to bring new life to it. And in this video, we're gonna be testing this device in a bunch of different scenarios. We're gonna start with a really cheap Amazon PC, a sub $300 mini PC that has USB 4, work our way up to something like a gaming handheld, like an ROG Xbox Ally X that has USB 4 support as well, and then finish off with a Thunderbolt 4 laptop to show you guys the versatility of a device like this, and test it with a pretty cool GPU, the RX 9060 XT 16GB. But before we dive into testing, let's talk about the Razer Core X V2, what you get, what you don't get, and how you go about setting everything up to get to gaming.
So now we're gonna go ahead and open up this case that kind of just looks like a mini ITX gaming PC case.
I know, it's really cool to see these where you can fit, as you see, our GPU. We went with an Asus RX 9060 XT 16GB that is sitting on our PCI slot right here, and it comes with a fan installed for airflow, and then you just install a power supply. Now, this is a sponsored video of our Razer, but I do have to mention, this does not come with a power supply, and the price point of this case with the actual PCI card built in is $349. It is a bit pricey, and that is the one downside with the eGPU space right now. Even Thunderbolt 5, which is the latest technology you can get for it, it's just expensive because it's still very early, but it's something to where there's not a lot of people adapting this into their setups yet. Why this video exists, because we're trying to inform you guys on this space, so maybe technology can advance where these would be super affordable to where you could have one of these at home for, let's say, a laptop docking setup. But right now, it is a pricey space to get into, so you do have to be willing to invest a good amount of money into this if you want this very niche product, but it is really cool if you are someone who will utilize it properly.
Another thing that's really cool about it is the amount of space that you get. So I don't think there's a card in the market that this really wouldn't fit. You get up to 4 lanes of coverage, and it is of course vertically mounted. And on top of that, this is a 9060 XT Prime card that's pretty long. You still have this much more room.
Now the actual slot is a Gen 4 slot, and something that's interesting because we're still at the point where the limitation is the USB bandwidth, or for example, Thunderbolt 5. This is actually a Gen 4x4 slot. Well, we're actually still limited by the bandwidth coming out of the back of this card, so no, you're not gonna get full performance out of this graphics card. You're still gonna be limited over USB. That's kind of the downside of the plug and play kind of aspect of using a Thunderbolt 5 port, but you still will see a big performance uplift compared to, let's say, an iGPU when you plop in something like the 9060 XT 16GB. And our power supply here is definitely overkill. They actually sent this over with the Core X for us to use. This is an XPG 850 watt power supply. We're only powering the graphics card, so we don't need 850 watts. You can get away with a lot less just to power a graphics card and save yourself some money, but for this video, this worked out great.
And then unlike a PC that have a lot of ports, this is your one port. This is for your Thunderbolt or USB-C, and it just plugs in like that, and then you plug it into your system.
And then you would basically use a monitor. That's the big key here, is when you plug this in, the whole idea is you're gonna be doing a pass-through through the graphics card. So the actual layout would be, here's your eGPU, plug in, let's say, a laptop. Here you go. And then you're gonna be plugging in to here your monitor. So this will be the output to the monitor, and that's how you would display out from the GPU. So for a mini PC, which we'll start here in a minute, we'll plug it into our mini PC, get everything hooked up. It is cool for laptops as well. This does act as a charging cable as well. So if you're somebody who has like a Thunderbolt 4 or 5 laptop, you can set your laptop up when you get home, plug this in, your monitor is already hooked up, you're good to go. You're also charging your laptop, and you're getting a GPU added to your device. Very plug and play, very cool. Let's go ahead and show you guys the mini PC we bought on Amazon for this project. It has USB 4. It's a little bit of a unicorn of a mini PC that I'm excited to see how this works with, and we'll show you live how it works.
So we picked up this AO Star mini PC for $299 on Amazon. Now ideally, you're not gonna probably go out of your way and just buy a mini PC for this. It's more of if you already have something on hand, but this one's kind of cool. This one actually has like dual 2.5 gig LAN ports. It was new, and it has a Ryzen APU inside. So to go over the specs, we got a AMD Pro 6850H, which is an APU that, if we're being honest, is going to be capable of the most lightest gaming at like 720p, maybe Minecraft at 1080p, that's about it. It does have 24 gigabytes gigs of RAM, and it did not come with an SSD, which we didn't really realize, so we had to throw one in there. So realistically, we probably spent close to like $375, $400 on this little mini PC with the SSD, but that's besides the point. What matters is that it has this little special USB 4 port right there.
And obviously, we won't just plug this up, show you guys what it runs like with the GPU. We gotta show you guys what it runs like without the GPU, so you guys can see the jump in performance here. So I did install a couple games on this thing. One is Arc Raiders, which I actually don't even know if it's gonna work properly at all, so maybe it'll be a do not finish, we will see. But we'll hook this thing up, launch that game, see if we can get into the practice range, see what kind of FPS we can get. But then we'll do the plug and play option of hooking it up with their eGPU, which will allow us to get even more FPS. The real question is though, with this mini PC, will we be CPU bottlenecked at all? Because it is an older laptop Ryzen CPU, or will we be able to get pretty good performance with this 9060 XT? Let's hook this thing up first and test it in its default configuration.
So we are in Arc Raiders right now, just on our AOStar mini PC with that little Ryzen APU in it, and I gotta say, I'm actually kind of surprised. We are running at actual 1080p. We are using upscaling though. So 1080p, native res, AMD FSR 3 set to ultra performance, max FOV, no ray tracing, low settings, just run around here.
Surprisingly playable.
Yeah, obviously in the real open world, it probably will have a little more lag spikes, a little less FPS here and there, but this is pretty crazy. It does look really bad. So that's gonna be one of the goals with the iGPUs, not only get more FPS, but also get better looks.
Yeah, and we're just using the Steam overlay for this because it'd be easy across all our devices just to run that instead of configuring it every single time we swap to the new GPU. So we are just gonna run that, but you can see our GPU usage, 98% across the board. We are maxing out our VRAM allocation using some of the system memory for it, and we're at 14 gigs of total system memory used. But based on how the CPU and iGPU are performing, the CPU is gonna probably handle this GPU pretty well, and we might get really good results from it.
But how many more FPS can we get by plugging in our eGPU?
All right, so I'm gonna show Jackson the process of plugging this thing up. All you gotta do is, well, one, plug in the Thunderbolt into the USB 4 on the mini PC.
This thing?
That thing right there.
Okay.
Make sure that goes into the USB 4 ports.
All right, plugged in.
And then we're gonna swap our cable from the mini PC to the GPU. That is the goal, it should just work live. So once you do this, and we get the display, we'll see if the HDMI just happens to, I haven't done the swap before. I've done
like
oh, well there it is, it's working.
Wow, it worked hot.
So you see right there, AMD Quick Connect GPU just popped up, and if you go to Task Manager.
Are we gonna see it?
And you scroll down, look up, there it is.
Whoa.
There
yep. That is it, 16 gigs of VRAM.
There it is. So now let's just launch Arc Raiders again and just see what it works like. Because again, plug and play. I will say, when I say plug and play, for AMD GPUs, installing the drivers is recommended. That's what I ended up doing. Sometimes it'll work just plug and play, but sometimes you want to install the drivers. So I already installed AMD drivers and they're there ready to go. So that's why AMD and everything popped up. But sometimes it'll auto detect. But hey, let's get into Arc Raiders and see what the difference is like.
Okay, we are back into Arc Raiders, and right off the rip, I mean, we can see we're getting about 50-ish more FPS, I'd say. Yeah. Definitely smoother overall. You know, at the end of the day, we still do have that, you know, USB-C bandwidth limitation, and also Arc Raiders is a game that usually doesn't get like insanely high FPS.
Yeah, and also running these lower details, which we had to do to even make the game really playable. We're gonna be much more CPU bound anyways. So no matter what device you have, you can slap whatever GPU. You could have 5090 in here. You'll be limited by the Thunderbolt bandwidth, and also you'll be limited by whatever that CPU can do. But as Jackson will show you, we can up the settings now. We can do a lot more. We can even run 1440 if we wanted to, if we had a 1440p monitor, which we aren't using right now. But you can up the settings, enable some ray tracing, things like that. I'm assuming it's gonna redo shaders, but we'll see.
Shaders done.
Shaders done. I mean, look, we're still getting the same.
Way better.
We're getting the same FPS right now. We're getting 115, 116 FPS. Looks way more playable, and our GPU is actually getting used a little bit. You see the GPU usage now is 70%, 60 degrees Celsius. You see our full 16 gigs of VRAM, and again, this is just practice range, nothing super crazy, but it is plug and play, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy too that like a CPU like this that would never be paired with the GPU realistically, it's more impressive than you would think clearly because it's working really good with our GPU.
So before we switch things over, we're going to run 3D Mark Time Spy with the GPU installed so you guys can see what that overall score is so we can compare it across the devices that we scale up to so you can see how this GPU fares with different devices. But we're going to go ahead and run that and then show you guys the results. And speaking of that 3D Mark score on the mini PC with the 9060 XT 16 gig, we got a total score of 13,976, a GPU score of 15,715, and a CPU score of 8,591. Really good numbers for plopping in a GPU using an eGPU enclosure. Now let's move on to something else, a gaming handheld.
So now we have the ROG Xbox Ally X right here, which is a pretty expensive handheld that is very capable of gaming, but we're going to test it with and without the eGPU to see if there's an advantage for people who have nicer handhelds.
Let's say there's a scenario you have a console and one of these handhelds. This was your introduction to PC gaming, and maybe you're not there yet to where you want to spend all the money on a full gaming PC build. You can run these docked in their current configuration without eGPU, or add something like the Razer Core X V2 with an eGPU to get even more gaming performance, to get pretty much similar performance as if you built your own gaming PC, with a few drawbacks here. But we're gonna do the same thing we did. We have this dock set up where Jackson just plugged up, and it should pop up on screen. There you go, now it's plugged in, and right now we're just running off the iGPU on the handheld, which we're gonna load up a game. I think I have Overwatch installed, which might be a good test. It's probably gonna run pretty well on this handheld on its own, but we can get even higher frame rates to saturate like a 180 Hz display if we run Overwatch with the eGPU. So, Jackson, you ready to play some Overwatch?
I'm ready. So now we are in Overwatch, and we're on the ROG Ally. We're using, of course, our monitor, and the ROG Ally is also acting as the second display, so it's probably taking even more video resource. And we're kind of asking a lot for this thing. You know, high settings, 1080p, no like render scale or anything. And I think we are still doing shaders right now. We'll see. If it doesn't get any better, then this is just how it is on higher settings.
Realistically, you would run lower details on this. We're not trying to like purposely make this handheld run below 60 FPS. Really, I just want to run higher details because that way we really see the GPU usage a lot more, because as you saw in Arc Raiders, when we were loading stuff in on lower settings, the difference was big, but visually it looked the same. So I want to be able to show both, that the visuals will also look good still while also maintaining high FPS. You can use these as a PC replacement if you want to. If you're someone who doesn't have a PC to begin with, it's full-fledged Windows.
How do they get out of that? Dude, this mouse sensitivity is insane. All right, well, I feel like we got enough gameplay.
Yeah, so we're looking at like at high of like 80 FPS, give or take.
60 to 80 basically. Now that everything loaded in, not a ton of frame stutters or anything, so still really impressive, but I think our eGPU will get us quite a bit more performance.
Let's plug her up. So we're gonna try to do it live. I don't know if Razer even says this is possible, but we're gonna see if it is possible.
Okay, so we plug this into...
So right now it's running on the charger, so you don't need this. I would swap that over and then plug that in. So this might make it even more of an adventure.
The graphics card does need to be plugged in.
Yes, so it needs to go from,
here
to the GPU. The cable mess. Can we do it without getting banned in Overwatch? We must hurry. We must add the GPU power.
All right, let's see, did we do it?
All right, we can confirm, and Razer probably knew this watching this video back, you can't hot swap it. The hot swap did not successfully work, but we're balling now. We got everything working. We are on the 9060 XT.
It kind of worked for our mini PC, but I think we just had to restart this and then it wasn't a big deal. But let's go over the settings real quick. So if we're starting off with the same like high settings, unlimited frame rate, no upscaling. Obviously a lot of this is gonna be kind of on the CPU, so I mean, it's still
we're getting 150 to 160 FPS when we were getting 80 on average, but we were getting dips below 60 very often. So again, CPU will still be a bottleneck in an esports title like this, but this is a basically double FPS improvement.
Which is pretty good ROI, you know, pretty good, getting double.
Now can we fight Ryan versus Ryan?
Oh, I was gonna take him off the map.
Oh, he brought you, oh no!
He got killed for it.
Oh, he took you off the map.
He did what I wanted to do. Ryan v Ryan, Ryan v Ryan. And it's really healer v healer. My healers were superior. No.
Help healers. Oh.
Oh god, he came back. Whoa.
Oh no. Oh no. Oh!
I thought about ulting, I'm glad I didn't. I feel like I just would have wasted it. What in the heck?
Oh, that didn't work out. Oh, wait a minute. Oh.
I got one healer.
Not bad. Most of the time over 100 FPS. Still had some dips here and there because, again, we're CPU bound in this game. So GPU's still going to help you so much there. But, I mean, on average, substantial difference. But before we switch over to the last use case, a laptop, let's run 3D Mark Time Spy and get that overall score for you all. All right, guys, the 3D Mark score for the ROG Xbox Ally X with the 9060 XT 16 gig ended up being a total score of 14,225, a GPU score of 15,716, and a CPU score of 9,252. Compared to the mini PC, we got a very similar GPU score, but our CPU score was higher, so we're actually being able to utilize a bit more of our GPU here with this handheld. Now let's move on to the last device, a work laptop.
So we have one more item to test, probably one of the most common items that you'd hook up to an eGPU, and that is a laptop. This is the Acer Swift 16, and this is replacing our other laptop that we were getting ready to do this video and the backlight just died on it. So here we are, 750 bucks later. So this laptop's a pretty solid unit. It actually has the new Intel Ultra 7 256V 8-core 8-thread. It has 16 gigs of DDR5, supposedly at 8533 megatransfers per second, 8 of 8 row of chips, obviously solid. We have a Kingston 1TB Gen 4 SSD, and then our graphics is, well, integrated. We don't actually have a graphics card. And yeah, obviously with this laptop, it's a nice laptop. It's touchscreen. I mean, it's over 700 bucks, but Dad just bought this laptop and he didn't know that little Timmy wanted to game. It doesn't have a graphics card. How are we gonna game?
This thing right here, and especially when we have a 3K OLED display on this thing, which I think is incredibly overkill, but we got a really good deal on this at Best Buy, by the way, so shout out to Best Buy for this deal. What we did here, and it's gonna be a little bit different because we actually had a bit of an issue with an AMD GPU, which is kind of known that AMD GPUs and eGPU enclosures can be a little bit finicky. I know Razer mentioned that during our briefing call. So they normally recommend trying to go NVIDIA, or if you try AMD, make sure the device works with it to begin with. And throughout the video, it's been working fine up until we got to this laptop where we put the AMD GPU in and it just doesn't pop up. So we use this as an opportunity to try something different. We have the RTX 5060, which is the same Prime card. Don't get fooled. This is actually a different GPU. It looks exactly like the AMD one we just had in here. And this one worked just fine. We're able to install NVIDIA drivers, and now when Jackson plugs up this cable, we should get a live swap to the graphics card.
So far.
This is a very far reach. We're just move it over here. I don't know why we're doing it. So yeah, once we plug this up, we will then get power through the important part, a Thunderbolt 4 port, because as we tested throughout this video, we did a lot of USB 4 and some Thunderbolt 4 devices. This one right here is also one of those that will end up hot swapping, and it's charging. Boom, just like that. We now have a display out and it says the 5060 has been connected, an external GPU. But first, we gotta do something that's probably gonna be a little bit rough, but it's important so you guys can see the difference. We gotta test this laptop in, I think we're gonna do Cyberpunk with its iGPU first, and then we'll show you guys what it's like when you hook up the external graphics card.
All right, we're giving old Acer a go with no GPU, no eGPU, no GPU at all.
I like there's ray tracing on right now. That's insane.
Yeah, we'll play around. We decided to lower the resolution of the laptop itself to 1080p so that it kind of matched this situation a little better, our monitor, because otherwise it'd look like a major difference.
So it's running like ray tracing low, which I'm assuming it's also at 1080p because I'm noticing the black bars because this is a 16:10 display on this thing. And yeah, we're getting 17 FPS, 20 FPS. Not great at all.
Definitely unplayable. So before I shoot anyone and like start dying, I'm gonna go ahead and let's get this to like a spot where we'd actually want it.
Ray tracing overdrive. I'm curious to see how playable we can get this.
Yep. Video's 1080p borderless. All right,
exactly.
Let's see.
All right, it isn't getting much better.
Yeah, definitely still not like where I'd want it to be. But hey, we're getting 30s at times. So I mean,
40s.
really, I mean, honestly, we probably could go down to like 720p or whatever 16:10 lower res is, and that might be enough.
Having an OLED on a laptop's pretty sick. That will be the one downside with the eGPU is we will be leaving this nice display for an external display. So pony up for an OLED if you want to keep the OLED experience.
Display's nice, but I cannot see anything.
Yeah, the glare is not great. It's one of those reflective glossy OLEDs, and whenever there's any light, it doesn't help. And also,
here we go.
It was pretty dim.
Yeah, it may be blinding for you guys now, but now I can actually see.
No, I think they can actually see it better now.
Okay,
they weren't seeing it as
Dude,
good
I was
before.
like, I mean, the game was like, I was like, man, OLED's, it is dark. Okay, so, I mean, it is weird. I feel like the FPS climbed.
It is. I wonder if it's adjusting with the upscaling.
I don't know, because I set it to performance, so it's not like set to auto. But yeah, surprisingly better than the MacBook Neo, you know? But how much more FPS and what type of settings can we run when we do eGPU mode on the Razer eGPU?
Let's plug it up.
All right, so we're back in Cyberpunk, and we're trying to run as similar settings as we could to kind of start things off. So now we're using DLSS Super Res because using Intel XeSS would probably break things. Ultra performance, and we're still at 1080p, low settings.
This could be a similar scenario like before where some of the games were CPU bound because we're running lower details to where we're not going to see a dramatic jump. But yeah, we're getting like 70 to 65 FPS here. So in certain scenarios, you may not see a major uplift depending on the device you're using.
Yeah, let's actually try since I mean now we have the horsepower. Maybe we'll do some higher settings and see if that changes anything. So we go quality. So let's do a little DLSS frame in. It's single player. Who cares, right? All right. So ray tracing, we're running higher settings now.
Yes, pretty high settings.
1080p.
In theory, we'll get the same, if not a little better FPS. We're going to 80 FPS.
Yeah.
80 to 90.
And the game looks better.
Which, you know, obviously frame gen, so half that. We're probably running it more like the 40s, which I will say, that kind of upscaling, it's pretty aggressive. And you can tell VRAM-wise, we're exceeding our VRAM on our 5060 right now. So 5060 is the bottleneck in this scenario, while people are screaming in the background.
That's where I'm not laughing because I'm killing innocent people.
He's like,
I'm just laughing at the screaming.
But no, you can run higher settings now. That's the beauty of it, is where you couldn't do that before. It would definitely crash. You have the ability to do that with our GPU, and I hear a GPU moving.
Yeah, it's got some air going through it, huh?
But yeah, you can go with a bunch of different GPUs as well. Obviously, you'll be limited to that PCI slot, so you don't want to go with like a 5090 or anything. One suggestion is maybe looking at the used market for some sort of higher end, like older series GPU. That could be a good plug and play option as well. But with the Razer Core X V2, no problem plugging up to a bunch of devices. We did laptops, we did mini PCs, we did handhelds, and we're able to add GPU power for very easy. All right, let's wrap this video up, guys. But before we end the video, we had to test 3D Mark Time Spy on our Acer laptop with our eGPU, but this time with the RTX 5060, and we got a total score of 11,778 with a GPU score of 13,007 and a CPU score of 7,672. Not too bad for a laptop that originally had an iGPU that'll barely run Cyberpunk, but now can play games at 1080p higher details.
So that was some pretty fun testing. We basically tested all the devices that normally wouldn't be great on their own for gaming, or at least not the experience that you want when you hook it up to something like a monitor. And the Razer eGPU enclosure was definitely pretty sick, and I think for certain people, obviously very certain people, this is a really cool device.
So shout out again to Razer for sponsoring this video and allowing us to showcase the eGPU space to some of you at home who may have not seen it before, or maybe you're dabbling in the idea of having an eGPU set up for your work and productivity needs. Well, work and productivity is the same thing. Work, gaming, productivity, and more. These are really awesome additions to your laptop, mini PC, handheld, or any device that can accept it with a Thunderbolt 4 or Thunderbolt 5 or USB 4 port. To learn more about these devices and buy one today, use the link in the description down below. It's an affiliate link. It will help us out. Let us know what you think of eGPUs. Are you excited about this technology in the future?
And as always, we hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, make sure you check out our other 2 YouTube channels and also our twitch.tv/ToastyBros, and do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
See you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.
Now, if you want to just get a straight up gaming PC that does not need an eGPU, check out ToastyBros.tech, where we can get exactly what you need.
You get a custom built desktop that you don't have to build yourself. You can buy from us, or you can even buy a laptop that could work with an eGPU. We got a bunch of stuff for you guys. Go to PCBros.tech today. Use code ToastyBros on checkout. You will save 3% of your next purchase. Be sure to check out the marketplace as well. See you guys later. Goodbye.